Hello and welcome back to the fifth video in this series of command line recordings where we'll set up a VAMDC data node. This time we'll have a look at the dictionaries. In the last one we edited the data model to your needs, and now we need to connect the data model to the global names in the VAMDC system, which means the global query names that identify a certain quantity. So there is a dictionary VAMDC. It's hosted at dictionary.vamdc.eu, where you see all the names, and now you need to connect your database fields to those global names so that all the queries that come independent or from node can be understood by your database, and also that the return of your data can be identified to be returned in the correct place in the XML schema. There are some dictionary keywords that can be static strings, like the first one that you need to set your node ID. You choose the same name as your node, for example, and then this was supposed to be still here. And then you have fields like, for example, the item state ID, where you have on the left-hand side in the dictionary here, you have the global name, which you look up at dictionaries.vamdc.eu. And then on the right-hand side, you fill where this is located in your structure that you return from your query function. That will be a topic of the next tutorial. So in the documentation, you look up the first part that you need to put here before the dot, which means the loop variable in the XML generator that is looped over. So each atom state, for example, becomes a name atom state when it's looped over in the return of the data. And the ID field then is the actual field in the data model that is there. So if this is you might run into some problems here if you don't see the connection between the loop variables in the generator and your fields, but this becomes clearer once you set up your query function, where you return the structure pre-arranged so that it can be treated by this XML generation routine. This is for the return of data. The second part of the dictionary is the so-called restrictables, which is for parsing the incoming query. So here on the left-hand side, you again have the global keyword, for example, atom symbol. And on the right-hand side, you start your queries always from one of your data models, unless you choose to write a totally different query function. And then you go through the fields. So if you remember from our model last time, the the transition model did not have a direct reference to the species, but the state model does. So this means that we can use the species field here and by double underscore separate and access the field name in the species model. This, of course, very much depends on how you design your models and how your database structure looks, but as before, you connect your internal database structure here to your to the global keywords. If you run into problems here, feel free to ask us. This is usually easily fixed and just needs to be filled for each quantity that you need to return and each quantity that you want to be queried upon. Right. Here is the email address that you can write to. So let's add a new field, for example. Since we start from the transition model, returning just the wavelength is just writing the name of the wavelength field here. Of course, this must match the model, as I said. And this is all for this one.